It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning, Jay Rock, who will be speaking on Relinquishing Prayer, a prayer form of letting go. And as Michael has pointed out previously, it's not about not praying, it's just a different way of praying. And with that, Jay, welcome, and we're glad to have you with us.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everybody. I've been looking forward to this for a while because in the teaching that I've done at St. Boniface, I've covered a lot of content, but I haven't talked a lot about my own spiritual journey or practice, and that's what I want to do today. And it's always kind of a challenge to do that for me. When I pray, out of all the different forms of prayer that there are outside of worship, I usually turn to the prayer book or to a breviary or to some kind of monastic prayer form. And the reason that I do that is that it's like putting on a pair of well broken in shoes. This is the way I think about it. This is a form of prayer that's been developed by a community. It's been tested. It's been found to work for a lot of people. And I can just open the book, no matter how distracted I might be at the time. And there I am, part of a community praying. I can pray, I can use the prayers that are there and follow along and get myself connected to God. And that for me is the purpose of prayer, is to spend time with God, to develop that relationship, to develop that connection with God. And I'm a very distractible person. I carry around lots of anxieties and lots of concerns, like a lot of us do. And so it's very easy to use some kind of a printed form or a monastic form of worship. I especially like the offices, the offices during the day. So when I get a chance to be at a place like St. John's Abbey or Christ in the Desert, both of these are Benedictine places. I love going to the offices during the day and praying with the monks, praying the Psalms and the collects of the day, and being part of that rhythm. Very, very helpful to me. However, sometimes I want to go a little deeper. I sometimes feel when I'm praying the breviary or the prayer book that there's not quite enough room for the spirit, or maybe not quite enough room for my own self in the set form. So, or I want something that's beyond words. I want to go beyond the words. And when I have that need, that prayer need, I turn to meditative forms of prayer or centering forms of prayer. And there are many of those too. But the one that I have found and used quite a bit for years is a prayer called Relinquishing Prayer, which I want to share with you this morning. I learned it when I was in seminary, 1970, so that would be 51 years ago. Is that right? 51 years ago, when I was in a prayer group with an adjunct professor Pacific School of Religion. Her name was Flora Volner. She's written several books on prayer, which are still good in my opinion. And she had a group that she led this kind of relinquishing prayer. It's a prayer that allows us to give our thoughts and our concerns and our feelings to God, and then to listen. That's the basic thrust of it. That's the way. And it starts out with the body. It starts out with relaxation, of getting yourself ready for the letting go and the listening. So, would you join me in this? I'd like to lead you in this process. I'll be giving some direction, and then there'll be time for you to.
He's leaving in 2 hours. You have the rest
follow
of the day.
follow the various directions and do your prayer, and then we'll at the end we'll have time, as John said, for conversation. All right. So let's first sit quietly. See if there are any obvious knots that you can feel in your body. Any places where you know there's tension. And let's breathe in and out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the tension go. Let yourself relax. As you continue breathing, imagine that the tension that you have in your neck, any tension or fatigue that you have in your neck and your shoulders, begins to flow down your arms and out your fingertips. Let that tension drain away. Any tiredness or tension in your neck and shoulders, let it go as well. Continue to breathe slowly. Let any tension in your upper back or your chest flow out of your body. Let the tension flow out of your upper arms, elbows, forearms, hands, and now see if there's any knots or fatigue in your back or your belly. Let that flow down your legs, out your feet. Let any tension in your pelvis or hips flow down your legs. Knots in your thighs or tension in your legs, knees, and your feet. Let it all drain away. Now let God's light fill your body. Let it flow into your body. Fill your feet and your legs, thighs. Let God's light fill your hips and pelvis, your belly and back, your chest, shoulders, arms, neck, head. God's light fills us, surrounds us. And now we pray. Oh God, to you we give our thoughts, all of our thinking. We relinquish to you this time. Our scattered thoughts, our to-do lists, our plans, we give all of our thinking to you. Come into our minds. Sweep them clean. Welcome your spirit into our thoughts and trust our thoughts and minds into your care. We relinquish to you also our feelings, our hopes, our fears, our grievances, our angers, our hurts. We give all of these to you. Come into our hearts, O God. Help us not to be confused by the ebb and flow of our feelings, but to give our feelings into your care and to allow you into our hearts. We invite you also, Lord, into the depths of our being, into those knots and tangles that are beyond our understanding. You know us all together. You know the depths of our beings. We give to you this deepest dimension of ourselves for healing, for release. Now we give into your care and light the people about whom we are concerned and the situations that are calling for our attention. In this silence, we name those people situations and give them to your care. Give ourselves, our loved ones, our world into your care. And here we are. Here we are, present with you. Speak to us in this silence. Listen for any word that God might have to share with you, or any image that comes to you. We are in your presence, O God. You are always, everywhere, present with us. Even when it doesn't seem to be so. Now, if you will, bring yourself slowly back to this present time and the place where you are, to our gathering. Wrap yourself in God's light, healing as you come back.
Jay, thank you so much for the presentation. And now is the opportunity for questions or discussions. And I ask you to raise your hand in Zoom, and I will then call on you in the order in which the hands have been raised. Steve, go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks. This has been great. And it helps to know that there are other people who go through much of the same reactions to life that I do. Lately, I've been aware of when something happens that would make me angry or fearful or whatever life brings, that I can actually feel my adrenal glands or my hypothalamus or whatever is squirting chemicals into my body. I can feel that happen sometimes. It's like, uh-oh, here they go. And or sometimes I don't feel it happen. I just go, oh, I can feel that it already has happened. And then I go into prayer with God and talking to myself logically about, okay, this has happened before. You're okay. You're not going to die, and give thanks. But I didn't know if you had another way, or because it almost feels like once those chemicals has flooded my body, I can be okay. But it's really the next morning when my body's kind of processed that stuff out, and where I can feel true gratitude and joy and that sort of thing, and get up in the morning going, oh, I love this cup of coffee. Thank you. And thank you for the sunshine, and be really grateful, rather than like, oh, I'm not dead. That's pretty good. So any other thing in your life that, in your practice, that helps cleanse the body of but my past experience and history is to, like react and trying to tell my body not to do that.
I'm very reactive also. I guess many of us are. And I can't do much with it when it's going on. That's been my experience, Steve. It's like you, I know it's going on. I know what it is. It's taken a long time for me to get to the place. a lot of counseling and talking with people in prayer to get to the place where I even know what's going on. And then I have to let it go. That's one of the reasons why the letting go part of this practice. I can take a long time doing this practice. Sometimes when I have a lot to let go of, or I have lots of knots. And then I also find that sometimes I have to talk to someone that I trust, who I know loves me, to really talk it through. That makes sense?
Absolutely. I think one of the most recent examples is that I was trying to see where I was going to my destination in my car. And as I was looking on my maps, on my Google Maps on my phone, a motorcycle cop came up, pulled me over, and was going to give me a ticket for looking at my phone while driving. And I was like, to make this long story short, he said he was going to impound my car, and I could go back and pick it up the next day. And I was like, what? But in reality, he was trying to get a bribe and how much payment and that sort of thing. So, you know, we did that whole little exchange, but I had a lot of chemicals flowing. So so that is what it is. So and as I drove off, I go, okay, you've just been shaken down. A lot of people have been done that, and go through that. So I think what also happens is that someone like you, whom I look up to or admire or think good thoughts about, and you also have gone through this, and it's a process and it's a learning experience that helps me know that it's going to be okay, and this is what people do. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And Marion has raised her hand.
Yes. I really resonate with what you say about anxiety and worries and all the distractions that we have. I've been studying with a Sufi guide in classes, and I'm going to make a presentation next month about Sufi mysticism. But what she said after so many years was learn to befriend yourself and the moment. And I thought that was extraordinary because, Steve, when I looked at how I think about myself, it tends to be more judgmental than friendly. And so she gave us a lot of meditative exercise to relax, accept yourself in this moment, befriend yourself in this moment. Really, because when you judge yourself, Steve, you shut your heart. Your heart is shut to yourself and it's shut to God. When you just say, I'm going to accept that right now I'm feeling blank, bleh. And she said, look at how you're reacting to the present moment. Are you befriending it? And I thought, most of the time I'm just using it to get things done. And I would never treat a friend that way. Think about that for just a minute. And along with what Jay says, and I think that's wonderful, Jay, I would just offer what my guide teaches me about befriending the moment and befriending myself in the moment. Because man, has it helped me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. And Mike, you've raised your hand. Go ahead.
Oh, should I take my hand down? Yeah.
I can lower your hand.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I react also, particularly to an extreme situation like Steve had. I would, but I some years ago, I just decided that I didn't have to react to everything. That I didn't have to react, and that's helped, like listening, just observing, just an ordinary situation. But people are people, and events are events, and that's just the way it is. But anyway, I think this is great. Jay's presentation is really great to repeat again. I think that's great as being recorded, because that's something we can go to. There's an app that some of us have done, or we've done some work with Second Breath, and there's a free Second Breath app, which is this is kind of thing, relaxing the body, first. So that's been helpful. And yeah, that's I guess that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? While people are waiting to raise their hands, Jay, you've raised your hand. Go ahead.
I did. Partly because it's just so much fun. What I was going to say is that when I learned this when I was 20 something or other, you know, in seminary in Berkeley. It was as Vince and I have talked about, it was quite a time to be alive in that Betsy too, in that part of California. But the thing that I didn't realize for a while about what we were doing is that we were letting God befriend us. We were saying we don't have to be responsible for all this. We are giving this over to God. We are relinquishing this for this time, and as many times as we need to, we're giving this into God's care. It's like Pope John the 23rd was supposed to have said when he was going to bed, part of his evening ritual was to say, it's your church, Jesus, I'm going to bed. So, you know, that practice of not only befriending what's coming to us, but of also letting God have control, rather than thinking we have to control so much. That's been really important to me.
Thank you, Jay. Within our community, one of the terms we use is living in holy surrender to God.
There you go.
Betsy, you've got or Vince, one of the two of you have your hand raised.
That's me. I think, you know, and some of us that have read several books in the last few months, we've been, I think we've been affected by the term beloved, that we are beloved. And I don't think any of us as humans think that way. I think you have to almost be told that and to let it seep into your system, to think that actually, you know, everybody is loved. And I think we get ourselves so wrapped up in the anxieties, you know, in the head, unfortunately. And the word that I like to use, and I think it was Eckhart Tolle who pointed it out to me in one of his tapes, is the concept of allowing. You know, is to remember when you're in that moment to allow God to enter and
Right.
to take that over, as you were saying, Jay. So it's just such a powerful way to avoid, you know, the anguish that we have to go through as individuals.
Thank you, Vince. And as Vince was mentioning, the book that our book group had read was Life of the Beloved by Henry Nouwen, and highly recommended if you haven't ever looked at it. Dorielle, you have your hand raised.
Hi, Dorielle. You also have your mute on.
Yes, I realize that. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. I needed that. And that is a wonderful way to, as the saying is, let go and let God. And so many times we don't. We just have to hang on to our anxieties because we think we're in charge and we're not. God is. And as Vince said, we are all beloved, but sometimes we find it hard to accept that.
Yep.
So thank you. That was very good for me.
Thank you.
And thanks for everybody else's comments. Lets us know that we're not in this alone.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorielle. Jay, a question for you. You were talking about having someone to talk with. Are you involved in spiritual direction?
I have been. I'm not. I'm right at the moment. I'm not. I have. I'll confess to everyone that I've probably built additions onto the homes of several therapists in my lifetime. I've spent a lot of time, learning about myself with psychotherapists, and sometimes the one that I worked with the most was ordained minister who worked out of the church, and so it was kind of a combination. Like I think, well, she was a well-qualified psychotherapist, but also a spiritual director. And I have a built-in spiritual director in my wife. I think anyway, she's very good at setting me straight sometimes. But and to answer your question, I think I have worked with spiritual directors, and I found it really helpful.
All right, thank you, Jay. Any other thoughts or comments or questions?
I'd want to add another thing to what I just said, because I've been, in the last several years, I've been reflecting that so much of there's a lot of ways in which I have, and a lot of us have, turned to psychology for the kind of support and help in getting through issues and understanding ourselves that we might have once turned to the church for. So I'm not against getting good qualified psychological help, but I think there is an issue of where do you let God into the process, and how do you let God into your own process? And I think that probably varies for everyone, but there's a lot of room for getting help from people, from psychology, and a lot of room for getting help from God and the church. I don't think it's exactly the same. I don't think it's the same at all. I think it's quite different, but compatible.
Thank you, Jay. Betsy and Vince have their hand raised.
It's actually me this time. I wanted to thank you, Jay, for that was beautiful, and I want to go through it without taking notes, maybe going through the recording and looking at it. But what a wonderful reminder that, to me, I am so guilty of just like sliding into the pew, so to speak, and getting my prayer out and sliding back out, and how important it is to take that time and prepare ourselves for being in a very intimate encounter with God, and for listening. Most of my prayers are, okay, now listen up, God. Here's what we need to do, and here's how you need to go about it. So I want to thank you for that, and also all of the comments I've been hearing from all of you, that this is an ongoing process, and some days that process goes backwards. So thank you all for that.
And thank you for that, Betsy, because I want to remind you that I started out by saying that what I usually do is go to the prayer book, because I'm often in that space, right in that space that you were describing, and I don't have time to do the preparation or the, and I need to have a resource that's going to immediately get me out of what's going on in my head into prayer. So
All right. Thank you, Jay, so much. Really appreciate you being here with us. And as we've said, this video recording will be available on the CST website here in a while. Usually takes maybe a week or so to get it over onto it. But thank you all for being with us. And
I have another footnote, John.
sure.
All right, so I don't know whether you can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah, praying. Mhm.
Praying by Lucinda Mosher. It's from Seabury Books, which is one of our Anglican publishing outfits, and it's about prayers and all the different religions. If you want to read about what Hindus and Muslims and Baha'i and other Christians and Jews do in ritual prayer and worship, or in the daily devotions, or at holidays, that kind of thing, this is a great book. That's it.
Thank
Just a
you very
footnote.
much. Again, thank you, Jay. Really enjoyed this. Blessings.
Thank you.
Look
Blessings.
forward to seeing all the rest of you next month when Marion will be sharing her spiritual journey. Blessings, everyone.
Blessings to you.
Thank you,
God
Jay.
bless. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you,
Wow.
Brother John.
Okay.
Thank you
God
all.
Brother
bless.
John. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. God
Hey,
bless
thank
you. And may this year be good to all of us. In Jesus Christ.
Blessings.